Okay, so let's continue with the second part of animating our All About Me intro. Right here is the Adobe Dynamically Linked project that goes to After Effects. And this is how you're actually going to start After Effects whenever you've got something that you're editing. Always right-click on the actual composition and go up to Edit Original and let it start the program for you, because it's going to open the exact composition that you're looking at on the timeline. These compositions can have multiple compositions inside of them, and it can get really complicated really quick. So you want to make sure that whatever you're changing on here is going to be what's changing in Premiere. So for example, if I were to change this font to something else, remember you must select it all and then change the font. Let me find something a little bolder perhaps. Change the size up a little bit. And when I look over here, there's the instant change. So next thing we're going to do is give this a background, and we're going to do that for a couple different reasons, but we're going to do that by creating a new layer. These all down here are called different layers, and right now I just have one. You can see the red bar extends for the full length of the 10 seconds. We're going to make a new layer that's just a solid color, and we're going to select that color right down here. Let's just take a nice blue color, and notice it actually knows the name of the color there. So we'll just let it keep that name, and since it's on top, the laser is showing it first. If we take our text and pull it up above it, then we'll be able to see what that looks like. Now what I'm going to do is actually going to take this one down below, and I'm going to go to Edit, Duplicate. Can't right click on it and copy, you have to duplicate. And now I've got an All About Me 2, and this is the one that I'm going to experiment with. When my experiments go wrong, then I can always make another copy of this one without having to retype it, refine the font, etc. So right here I'm going to take All About Me, and I'm going to apply some animation effects. You go right here to Animation, and we're going to browse a bunch of presets. So these are similar to all the transitions that we have in Premiere, things that can happen automatically. And we're going to be looking at the ones for text. Now what just opened is Adobe Bridge, which is a unique way and unique program that lets us actually look at all of these effects in a preview form. So if I take a look at this one and look over here on the right hand side, you'll actually be able to see a preview of what it's going to do to my All About Me. Now the All About Me on After Effects does need to be selected. So I got to make sure that it's on there. Then I'm going to switch back to Adobe Bridge and double click on the effect. So now when I go back to After Effects, I seem to always be getting an error. Just ignore that. Not sure what problems are going on with After Effects. But now you can see that All About Me is doing what we saw in the preview. If you like that, that's great. If you don't, it's best to undo with Control-Z and then switch back to Bridge and try something else. Now there are a lot of different effects. I'm going to go back to the text effects and go to Fill and Stroke, because this one has some color changing that happens. So if we want to flicker green or pulse in blue or make orange go across that way, we can double click on that and it will change over in After Effects what our text does. Let's take a look at that. So a slight effect, just doing the stroke and color there. If we go back to Premiere, we're going to see that change happen right away. So this could become our introduction. We could add a second layer and put your first name and last initial. There are quite a few of these to explore. The ones that can be the most helpful sometimes are the animate in and animate out. So this is kind of like putting a transition at the beginning of your text or at the end. Sometimes these can be combined. Let me try this center spiral and see what happens. Notice that where my laser was before that, I'm not going to see anything. And then the keyframes actually kick in and spin it around. I did mention keyframes, and they are here, but they're located underneath the layer itself, and they can be somewhat difficult to figure out. You may be able to see these little circles there, and we could go hunting and try and find where the actual keyframes are, but there is a better way. I'm going to click on the layer and press the U shortcut. It will open up only the things that have been keyframed. So if I wanted that animation to start from the very beginning, I can move the keyframes back to 0, and now the animation starts from the beginning of those few seconds. If I wanted all of that to take place faster, you have to be kind of careful, because if I move this red bar, it means there is no text until that point. So let me Control-Z undo and carefully move these keyframes in a little bit further, and the whole spinning takes place much, much quicker. So that's adding a little bit of effects to that. If we want to try and add some color to it as well, maybe you can get two effects to combine, but it can be rather difficult. Let's try this one right here. Flicker the color so that as it's coming in, is it flickering in color? Yes. Kind of going a little crazy. I'm going to close that up and see what all keyframes are in there. Notice how the flickering in color has no controls for us. So this isn't really a good one to use because I can't tell it to stop doing that so I can actually read what it's saying. So this is one of those cases where I would undo, go back to just the spin, and see if there was something else that I could do. So in step 3, I'm going to show you how to make this text look really, really nice. Some of the effects that we did in Premiere, we're going to have a lot more control over here in After Effects.